Oh my goodness. Christmas came early this year. Make my wish come true. All I want for Christmas is you. Oh my good God. Welcome everybody to the Bodybag Podcast. I'm Chris Thomas, and with me as always, Brooke Ryder Dave.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Guys, the poll demanded that we review 2006 Black Christmas, the remake, not the 2019, not the one in
1970.
1970, but the 2006 remake of Black Christmas. Now, I'll get to my rating at the very end, but I just want to go ahead and I just want to say this right off the bat real quick. Now, if you're looking for a horror movie that's like different, like Cabin in the Woods, or like surreal, like something that A24 does, or one of those movies like Get Out, where you have to watch it a bunch of times to get some of the little subtle things that you pick up maybe in the background, and you appreciate it more with each viewing. Take your ass somewhere else. This is a horror slasher that knows it is a horror slasher remake, and it crossed off everything on my horror movie trope Christmas wish list, and I was smiling the entire time I was watching this thing.
Yes, it's not going to win any awards, but it is definitely enjoyable, and I loved the casting for this movie. Like,
I didn't know how many people I knew were in this, actually.
Yeah, like all the actors in there, I'm like, oh my God, like Katie Cassidy. I'm a big fan of her from Arrow, and then
yeah, I didn't know she was in that. Mary Elizabeth Winstead is in it.
Yeah, Lacey Chabert from Mean Girls.
Is that the same chick from Eurotrip?
Maybe.
I think she's also in. I forget. I just mainly know her from Eurotrip.
Yeah,
it's Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I think she said she was also in.
No, that's Michelle Trachtenberg.
Oh, that's what I'm thinking of.
Movie, yeah.
Oh, but dude, I was watching this movie. I started watching this movie when I was at work, and I had to get back to work after 15 minutes. I did not want to stop. I was doing something that I caught myself doing that I haven't done in a long time when watching a movie, and I caught myself smiling because I was like,
yes.
This is okay. Like you said, this movie's not going to win any awards, but you know what? It won over my heart.
If you just want a nice slasher Christmas film in the background during Christmas dinner
while you're eating your Christmas cookies,
yeah, hopefully not made out of skin.
People, I implore you, please get out your drinking trope bingo cards and make this your drinking game movie for this holiday season, because this proves that sometimes a bad movie can just catch you. Like, I've complained so many times about like different horror movie tropes, and it has all of them, but sometimes it just does it, and it just catches me in a mood. Maybe I'm just holly jolly because it's the holidays, but I was sitting there watching it, and you got everything. You got your jump scares, you got your fake out jump scares, you got your death foreshadowing that's about as subtle as a public flogging. You got
the cheating boyfriend red herring.
The drunken college girls.
That was the one actress I didn't know, but she was my favorite character in this movie.
What, the drunk?
Yeah, she was hilarious.
You mean the drunk that's passed out on the bed? My spirit animal.
Yeah, there you go.
But let's start this from the very beginning. If you watch this movie, I do not suggest that you watch it if you're lactose intolerant, because this movie is filled with so much cheese. You know what I was thinking? This is like a cross between. This is kind of like if Michael Myers met the Terrifier and they merged into one being.
Yeah.
If the Krampus and Santa Claus met and made a horror movie, this would be their offspring.
Yeah.
Of Krampus and Santa Claus. Because
you had your silent killer, then you had kind of not a silent killer, but also kind of one, and then it was.
So let's tag team this movie real quick.
With scene number one, where you have Claire writing a nice Christmas card to her strange sister.
Yeah, you're gonna have to do a lot of this, because let me tell you the kind of movie this is. I don't remember, other than Billy and Agnes, I don't remember anybody's name in this thing, but it's just that girl over there. Yeah. It's that girl over there, that chick, So, by all means, walk us through this Christmas classic.
Well, you had Claire. She's writing a nice Christmas card to her strange sister. And boom, bag over her head. Boom.
Oh, by the way,
in the eye.
don't. I made the mistake of trying to listen to this a little bit while I was at work, and I had to do something real quick. Don't listen to this with earbuds, because that scared that jump scare actually scared me. Like, I was doing something and I wasn't really paying attention to the screen at first, and then I think I busted my eardrums. So just little safety tip for those of you who are going to watch this movie.
Yeah.
All right, continue. Yes, we get our first jump scare, stab through the eye with a candy cane.
And then kind of fades the introduction, and then you got your introduction to the final girl, Kelly, and she's in the car with her boyfriend, Kyle.
No, before that, we're at the insane asylum.
I thought it was after that scene.
I think that came before, because as I was writing notes, it went to the insane asylum, and I was immediately like, "Oh yes, the first of many tropes, the irresponsible security guards and orderlies." Yeah,
well, so this film hops back and forth from the sorority house to the insane asylum, back to the 70s.
We go through all the 70s, all the way through the 90s. It jumps all over the place.
Yeah.
Instead of us jumping back and forth, just go ahead and give the backstory of Billy real quick, so we don't have to be like, oh, and then the flashback happens.
Okay, so you have Billy, the main killer here.
He has jaundice.
Jaundice, which makes his skin yellow, and basically makes his mother hate him.
He had a pretty rough upbringing, to say the least.
Yeah, so his mother and her new boyfriend kill his father, bury him in the basement, and then lock Billy in
the
attic. Yeah.
And then sometime down the line, the mother is sexually frustrated one Christmas Eve with her new husband who can't get it up, and then she rapes her son, Billy, and gets pregnant, and they have a child, a little baby girl, Agnes. Unbeknownst to the new husband, doesn't have any idea that happened. Then later on down the line into the 90s, Agnes is basically living the childhood that Billy was robbed of. Everybody loves her, and he's just watching them from the attic kind of have the ideal Christmas together. He snaps, tries to kill Agnes, gouges her eye out.
Gouges her eye out.
Kills I'm just going to call him the stepfather. The stepfather with a one of many phallic-shaped items in the movie. And then kills his mother, strangles her, and then makes Christmas cookies with the skin off her back.
Oh, that was so gross.
A growing boy needs his protein. Anyway, so that's the big flashback that people reference to throughout the movie. So now that is out of the way, we don't have to keep going back to it.
Yeah. So at the insane asylum, you got this Santa Claus that kind of gets lost and heads over that way. They're like, what are you doing here? He's like, oh, I was looking for the children's wing.
Because apparently the children's wing is in the same building as the criminally insane.
Because that makes all the sense in the world. I
love the security guard. He said, this isn't no place for civilians. And then he looks at him and he's like, hey, you want to take a look at the crazy person?
Yeah.
Like the worst security guard ever.
Right. So then Billy puts like a little gift out for the security guard. He opens it. It's just a note that says, I'll be home for Christmas.
That's kind of nice.
Yeah. And then the security guard looks back in there, sees that he's not there with the toilet broken open. So he rushes in there and Billy stabs him in the neck with a candy cane.
Well, that's kind of two separate scenes, but for the long and short of it is that Billy escapes the mental asylum.
Yeah. And that was the reason the Santa Claus was there.
The Santa Claus was there for no other reason for him to get stabbed, and Billy grabs his disguise and as a Santa and gets out of there.
Yeah.
carries the guy off in the Santa sack with, I guess, just the arm sticking out, but nobody notices.
Yeah. So now we're back at the sorority house for good.
And the sorority house, you have your classic tropes. You have like the preppy, prissy girl, the spoiled girl. You have the Laurel Lance, who is supposed to be a survivor girl. A drunk sorority den mother. You have
the drunk chick.
Yeah, the drunk chick. And then you have the quiet, nerdy girl. And I think then you have one or two random, like, typical what you would think of when you hear sorority house girl.
For the most part, yeah.
Okay. And everybody, it's funny because, so it's Christmas Eve, and their fraternity house is in the same house of Billy the Billy the killer. Which do they just do that? Do colleges just do that? They just be like,
I
you know
guess,
what?
I mean, the house was near college, and after he went crazy, the house probably went
You know what?
on the market for really cheap. So
Let's just turn this
into a sorority house,
serial killer house into a sorority house. And I guess it's a tradition because Billy's story is so famous that they have a tradition at the sorority house where they leave a Christmas present out for Billy, which is very weird.
Yeah.
And the girls there, all of them are feeling a little bit different. You have a couple of them who are like into the Christmas spirit. One of them's drunk. The other one doesn't even want to be there. And the den mother's trying to get everybody in the Christmas spirit, like, hey, everybody, we need to like open up gifts and blah, blah, blah. And then that's when we get our first flashback, which we explained earlier.
And then you have Megan in her room
Watching porn.
A video of her sleeping with Kelly's boyfriend. I guess it was uploaded to the internet, and then she hears a noise coming from the attic.
Which apparently in a sorority house filled with women, she was able to hear a wind-up snow globe coming all the way from the attic.
I think it's because her room was right next to the attic. I don't know,
even still,
yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
it's so fun. The sorority girls were nice enough to just kind of keep it down for that scene to happen.
Yeah. So she goes up to the attic.
She goes up to the attic. Apparently, she's like, all right, who's messing with me? Because apparently people are trying to mess with her. And she gets the bag over the head treatment. Yeah. Another stab, eyes gouged out. Yeah. A lot of eye gouging in this scene, or in this movie.
Evidently, that's a thing that Billy and Agnes like to do, is gouge eyes.
Well, we don't know it's Agnes at this point.
Yeah.
Agnes survives, by the way, when Billy went to gouge her eyes out. When she was a child. Already, spoiler alert at the end, she's tag teaming these girls with her brother/father killing off these sorority girls.
Yeah, it's weird. After that happened, I believe her name was Eve that comes downstairs.
I don't know, remember? I just call him that girl.
Well, the
nerdy
one that's
girl.
like the nerdy girl who's really obsessed with Billy.
Was she obsessed with Billy?
I think she was the one, that they end up going into a room finding all the research on him.
Yeah, so she gives a present to, I'm gonna call her Laurel Lance because that's the only, I don't know her name from Arrow.
Kelly, yeah.
Gives
Kelly.
her a present, which is a unicorn head. Is it a ceramic unicorn head, which with the longest horn, and I'm like, that's not foreshadowing at all. Thank you so much for the stabby gift. I'm sure this will come into play at no point in the future.
And then everyone's asking her plans, and then they all turn away, and then she's gone.
Yeah, she's just out of there.
Okay, not weird at all.
Fine, whatever. Some weird stuff keeps happening throughout the house.
We get another calls.
They keep getting phone calls from a mysterious voice that says, "She's my family now," and with whimpering and cries in the background, and they think it's a prank caller, and it keeps happening throughout the night.
Comes from Eve's phone and then Megan's phone. So basically, as he's killing them, he's using their phone to make phone calls to the house.
Mm.
And then Lee comes in, who is the estranged sister of
Claire?
Claire's estranged sister.
I guess I do remember one or two of the names.
Yeah. And she's like, "Where's my sister? We were supposed to meet up." They're like, "Oh, we thought she was with you."
Was Claire the one who got stabbed in the attic?
Claire was the one who got killed in the very beginning.
She was the one who got killed at the very beginning.
Yeah, because she was writing a Christmas card to her sister.
Because for the rest of the time, she's basically, her corpse is up in the attic.
In the rocking chair, yeah.
Yeah. And also, around the same time, what's-her-name's boyfriend shows up.
Yep, breaks into their sorority house.
Because he wants to spend time with Laurel Lance for Christmas. He wants to take her to his apartment, and they spend time there.
What he says, but he broke into Megan's room to delete that video.
Yeah. Which she just kept up on the screen, which, with the screensaver, which is, of course, a floating eyeball, which is her screensaver little bouncy thing whenever the screen goes black.
Yeah, that was weird when I saw that. What is that?
I loved it so much. I was like, oh my god, you guys aren't even trying to be subtle. I love it.
Right? Like, okay.
Nobody would have that as their as their thing.
And they're like, well, was Megan in her room? He's like, I don't know.
Which, to be fair, he didn't know because she wasn't.
Yeah. They're like, you were just in there. How do you know if she was in? So they're looking in the room and stuff.
So he had hooked up with Kelly, correct?
Yeah, they're dating.
No, not Kelly. The girl who's watching the porn.
Megan. Like, I guess they hooked up.
They hooked up at one point, supposedly before he got together with Kelly.
Yeah,
That's what he says anyway.
Yeah, and someone took his tape and uploaded it.
I love that he's trying to explain it because Kelly ends up finding it. They're all looking around, trying to find Megan. Was it?
Yeah,
trying to find Megan, and
she's like, maybe she left an email on her computer.
She looks and sees. That makes no
sense. Yeah,
she looks and sees the video. I love that the guy's trying to explain it to her. Like, look, this was before I met you, and somebody stole my tapes. And I'm like, dude, why would you even admit that you have tapes?
Yeah. She's like, oh my god, you have tapes of me? And then everyone just kind of destroys the guy. They're like, get out of here, asshole, and kick him out of the house. Oh,
leads to one of my favorite lines of the entire thing. This phrase sums up exactly what this movie is and why I was smiling through all the whole time. Kelly is the one who he was currently with, right?
Yeah.
He's like, Kelly, I really care about you. Fuck all you bitches.
Yeah.
that is a line from the movie. And
yeah, it was a great line.
Just that it was just so ridiculous. I care about you so much. Fuck you.
And then Lacey Chabert character kind of rushed off like, Merry Christmas, jackass.
Oh my god. This movie just keeps on giving.
Oh, it gives and gives and gives.
Sometimes it just gives too much. I mean, So anyway, continuing on, he leaves the house, and what was Claire's sister's name? Is it Lee? Lee, yeah. Lee is downstairs, and she notices. They're kind of reminiscing because she used to be a sorority sister too back in the day, and
she's like, "Oh, you guys still leave out a gift for Billy?"
Yeah, but then she notices
she's like, "Oh, a gift from Billy. That's new." And
this is a gift from Billy, not to Billy. And they open it up, and it's something from the flashback. It's a gift that he got when he was a kid, along with a little baby doll thing with the eyes gouged out.
Yeah, it's Agnes's baby doll. Yeah.
So at this point, I think the lights go out. The electricity goes out.
Power goes out, yeah.
Which, another funny thing, at this point, the power goes out, but somehow the lighting in the place gets better.
Yeah, like all the Christmas lights stayed on.
All the Christmas lights stay on, and somehow also the house is much better lit when the electricity supposedly goes off.
And then they all kind of break off into groups where you got Michelle Trachtenberg taking care of her drunk sorority sister, which leads to Billy peeping in on her in the shower.
You get the gratuitous nude scene.
Yeah. And then you got Lee and Lacey Chabert's character trying to get the power back on.
Which they apparently keep the circuit breaker under the house. Not in a basement, literally under the house. Like, you have to go outside, get on your hands and knees, and go into a crawl space in order to get to the circuit breaker.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, is that something that's common in
That's what I was going to ask you. I was like, is that like a common thing? Do they make it so that you have to...
Because I know my circuit breaker's in the back room.
I get the basement, but no, this is, you have to get your shoes on, you have to get your coat on, you have to go outside, undo the padlock, get on your hands and knees, crawl under the
belly
house.
Crawl, yeah.
You have to belly crawl under the house to find the circuit breaker.
Yeah, I've never heard of anything like that.
Whatever, but it's under there.
Yeah.
And another sorority girl goes under there, gets offed.
Yeah, she gets a hoe to the head.
She gets a hoe to the head, one of those trowels to the back of the head. At this point, so how many dead people have we so far now? We have Claire, we have her, the one who got the trowel to the head.
Megan.
Oh, and the one girl who's like missing that we haven't. She just like up and left.
That's Eve.
Yeah, Eve.
You got the security guard and Santa, so that's 6 so far.
All right. So half of the sorority girls want to get in the car and leave. Say, hey, we got to get out of here. Let's stick together, get out of here, and try to find help. The other half are saying, well, we don't know where Claire is, and if she comes back and we're not here, there's going to be, she might get killed.
Yeah.
So
yeah, because they discovered Eve's body in her car, and then they're like, oh.
And they also discovered Eve's decapitated head in there, and then they saw a bunch of blood in the crawl space under where the circuit breaker would be. And
then they called the cops, and they're like, we have dead bodies. The cops are like,
we'll be there in 2 hours.
2 hours.
Because apparently it's so awful outside, which, I mean, it was snowing.
I'm just saying, realistically, if you call the cops, like, hey, we have dead bodies here, I don't think they'll tell you 2 hours.
Are you... From the exchange on the phone, one of the things had to have been, are you sure she was murdered? Yes, her head is on the floor. I'm sure she's murdered.
Yeah, if you tell people there's someone murdering people at her house, I don't think the cops will ever be like, yeah, it's going to be about 2 hours, Chief.
hey, just
Hang in there.
just hang in there. We'll get out there at some point. So half of them want to leave, and the other half want to stay. So they do the best of both worlds, and they split up. And half go out to the car, and the other half stick around.
So the house mother leaves with like the preppy straight A.
Now at this point,
girl, yeah.
At this point, you know how sometimes when you'll hear a line spoken in a movie, and all right, well that was obviously supposed to garner a response from like the audience.
Yeah.
That when they're figuring out what to do, Laura Lance Kelly, she was like, "We're sisters. Start acting like it." And
oh my god!
I was like, "Really?" Because you all kind of like
Jeez.
don't act like it. Like one of them, the one who's actually the sister of somebody, Claire, says she doesn't even really know her sister.
Yeah.
But apparently is willing to stick around and die for her. And everybody else is always like passively aggressively bad mouthing each other, but we're sisters. And I'm like, really? Because you guys kind of sound like you don't stand each other, aside from like maybe one or two of you.
But I like the scene where they're like in the car and she gets started and she hands her the snow brush and the girl goes, "What's this?" And
yeah, at that point, stuck up Southern girl and Den Mother both get killed.
Yeah.
Which Billy somehow snuck into the car. Like, Billy can just sneak into things like a mole rat or something. He just gets in there without anybody noticing.
Yeah.
And kills...
I mean, how do you get into a car without knocking any of the snow off?
Without knocking any of the...
From the Midwest, I know that kind of...
So was he just chilling out in there, waiting?
He could have been, like, he's been killing...
Like, so it's either he somehow snuck into the car while she was outside brushing off the ice, or he got into the car and was waiting there, hoping that they would come in there.
Yeah, like, did he like shut off the power and then go into the car?
It's serial killer logic. I guess he knew what he was doing.
Yeah, I guess he had a game plan. He knew what they do.
So while all that's going on inside the house, you have Claire's sister Kelly and what's Kelly's boyfriend's name? Who he shows up?
Kyle, but you still also have
Drunk girl,
and the one that was taking care of her. And then they're all... Well, Kyle didn't show up yet because there was the four of them looking at the car, wondering why they're not going anywhere yet.
Yes.
So Kelly and Lee go downstairs to check it out, and then, boom, Michelle Trachtenberg gets a ice skate to the head.
Yeah, she gets jumped. She gets jumped back over the head, but fights back a little bit. Ice skate to the back of the head, so she's out. Yeah,
and then we got one of like the cringiest scenes of the movie where I guess Billy since got out of the car, made his way upstairs, and is now sexually assaulting a drunk girl before he murders her.
Now that was really wrong, but I laughed when she woke up and just had that realization of her, because she's kind of passed out a little bit drunk, and she's woken up by, you just see you don't see the actual hand, but you see like what is a hand under a cover, like starting to caress her, and then go downstairs, and she's initially, she's kind of out of it, and she's you see her moaning, the sensual moaning, and her, she's kind of smiling, and the look on her face when she woke up, like just the sudden realization of like, wait a second,
what is going on here?
It went from the best dream she's ever had to the worst realization she's ever witnessed, ever had. And she goes to grab another phallic-shaped stabbing thing, and goes to stab at whatever's messing with her, and misses, and she gets offed. She misses the stab, and
boom, stabbed in the eye.
Boom, stabbed to the eye. Horrible way to go. I mean, we've seen eye stabbings, but I mean, she went through so many emotions. Yeah. Just it went from pleasure to confusion to horrified, and then eye stab.
Like, that scene was really good face acting by the actress too.
It really was. I mean, that's, again,
you really don't get like great acting moments in these movies, but that was like one of them, like just with facial expression.
Yeah, I'll admit that was pretty good. I kind of feel bad for laughing, but it was just the sudden realization and her going, oh shit.
Yeah.
Realizing, oh, this ain't good. And so
they go back upstairs.
Find her dead body.
Yeah, and then Kyle comes in, and they're like, "Oh, what? start blaming each other. She's like, no, none of you guys did this. It was Billy. He's here.
Yes, Billy's here. They try to call one of their sorority sisters' phones and realize it's coming from the attic. All three of them, at least they stuck together.
Yeah.
Well, at this point, there's many times they should have just left, but apparently they're still sticking around on the off chance that Claire is still around.
Yeah.
I guess it's because when they call, they keep getting the phone call from Billy, this time on their cell phone, him still saying, they're my family now, but they keep hearing a whimper and cry in the background.
Voice, yeah.
So they keep thinking, all right, that's probably Claire. They go up to the attic.
Boom. It's Agnes that snatches up Kyle, gouges out dude's eyes, and then eats them.
That's another thing. A lot of cannibalism going on in there in this movie.
Then,
so Kyle's out of here.
Yeah, Kyle's dead and gone. There's a struggle. Lee falls through the floor.
Because they're in the attic, she falls through one of the soft spaces in the floor. At this point, I wrote in my notes, ladies, if you think this is an empowering movie because it's like an all-female cast, mostly against one homicidal guy, one killer guy, maybe it is because it just shows that it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, everyone makes dumb choices in a slasher movie. Because they're just sitting there screaming and then watching. They still think it's Billy, but it's Agnes.
But at this scene, I think Kelly figures it out. She's like, we're not your family, Agnes.
Yeah. But they stare at her for like 5 minutes as she's like putting candles up in the room and showing off all the dead bodies.
Yeah, that she's portraying.
And all they do is just sit back and scream and look at. I'm like, you guys should have been out of here. Like, when she started lighting candles, you guys needed to get out of here.
Well, tonight's the night that Daddy comes home. And then Billy comes out.
Billy comes out through the floor. Billy comes out through the floor, but it's also the ceiling.
Yeah, it's weird.
He comes out. He burrows out of the floor, but they're in the attic.
Yeah,
I just realized that right now. Wait a second. Yeah. He burrowed out of the floor, but he's in the attic.
Yeah, it was such a weird scene, and then Kelly and Agnes.
The movie just keeps giving me presents.
Kelly and Agnes struggle, and then boom, they fall through like the floor in between walls. Agnes drops to the basement. Kelly falls like a story.
And at the same time, the candles that she lit started setting the house on fire.
Yeah, and then you got Kelly screaming for Lee to wake up because she's in the walls, and she has Billy coming from the top to get her, and Agnes coming from the bottom. And then they pull her from the wall at the same time. The tree that caught on fire falls down with Billy onto Agnes. So you think that's the end of the movie, right?
They get away. Agnes is the house is getting burned up, and Kelly is in the hospital. Lee's there, and so she's in the hospital, and it's being reported on the news: homicidal maniac and something on a killing spree again. Blah blah blah.
And then you have terrible hospital staff, like every movie.
And apparently everybody just gone. Everybody just left the hospital all at one point.
Yeah, you got the Emmy getting drunk while he's doing it. Bodybag movies. He's like, what is this? He opens Agnes's. She's just laying still, and then Billy comes out and up at him. Mm-hmm. Wasn't even a sneak attack. Like, he walks slowly towards him, and he's like, no, don't do anything. Instead of just, getting the hell out of there.
Mm-hmm.
Boom, he's dead. And then they take Kelly to get x-rays, I believe.
Yeah.
And that's when they kill Lee.
So Lee's dead.
Yeah, and then Kelly comes back to the room. She's like, where's Lee? Oh, I don't know. Maybe she went to the bathroom, the nurse tells her. And then the nurse disappears.
I love how people just act
gone.
like this. Like, we didn't find the serial killer's body, but we're not gonna have any kind of security on the women that he was terrorizing.
Well, I mean, they were both considered dead, I guess. That's why they're in body bags.
Yes, but
still, there should be some type of.
There should be some kind. I mean, they don't know for sure that he's dead.
Yeah.
Or at the very least, just have some kind of security.
Yeah.
Even if it is shitty security that just lets civilians walk in the crazy person board, just something.
And so this leads to the final showdown. Kelly sees the light fixture above her fill with blood.
Mm-hmm.
That was actually
again
cool visual.
Somehow the Billy family just knows how to burrow up in there.
Yeah, they know how to burrow into anything, evidently. So Agnes attacks her, and Kelly shocks her face with a defibrillator. Just bam. And then she's trapped in the room. She has to break the window to open the door from the other side. How does no one hear a window breaking in the entire hospital? I don't know. And then they're struggling, and they trip over like the janitor's cart or whatever, or like a nurse's cart with the nurse in front of them, and they did nothing. It's like 2 nurses that didn't do anything after that point. Just kind of saw what's going on and just kind of went the other way.
You don't get paid to do things.
Yeah. You have one of your patients getting chased by a yellow man.
Getting chased by the guy from Sin City.
Yeah, not going to do anything about that one. So they struggle, and they're by the stairs, and Kelly tosses them over. And he's impaled on a flag object on top of a Christmas tree. And that's the end of the movie.
Have a holly jolly Christmas. Okay, but man, this movie, objectively, it has everything that I usually hate in horror movies. But I don't know, it just caught me on the right day in a right kind of mood that, like, whenever I knew something was coming up, I was sitting there, like when at one point one of the sorority girls is out there and she's trying to smoke a cigarette, and then the icicle above her is like dripping, which weirdly, it's supposedly like below 0 out there, but apparently cold enough but warm enough for the icicle
to melt. Yeah,
but warm enough for the ice to melt. And it shows the icicle. I'm like, oh, well, obviously somebody's going to be getting it with an icicle. And then when it eventually was the sorority den mother, I was like, come on. Yes, it did it. You did it. You did what you foreshadowed you were going to do. And same thing when she had a hot poker and placed it in her mouth with a marshmallow in there. I'm like, well, there's no reason why you would zoom in on a shot like that. There's certainly you're not going to use that hot poker for something. And then that was used to like stab Agnes in the eye.
Yeah.
I was like, man, like, again, perfect drinking movie. Perfect movie to have a bunch. If there was any movies that I wanted to do like a live stream or live commentary on while we watch it, it would have been this one.
Yeah.
It's like, again, the Terrifier mixed with, take the over-the-top and goofiness of the Terrifier.
It was like the Terrifier Christmas.
It was like a Terrifier Christmas. That's the best way to put it. If Art the Clown was doing stuff on Christmas, it would go a little something like this.
Absolutely.
But there was only one thing I couldn't stand, and that was the kids in this.
Oh, man. The kids really didn't do much in this movie, though.
No. Oh, wait. Are there actually kids in this? I forgot. I was waiting for you to go, Chris, there weren't any kids in this. Oh, you know what? You're absolutely right, Dave. Hey, if you want to hear us talk about how much Chris hates kids, we're going to be doing an upcoming episode.
That is going to be an upcoming episode, but there were, in fact, kids in this movie. There's Kid Billy and then Kid Agnes.
And Kid Agnes. But if you want to hear 2 30-year-olds talking about kids and it not be awkward, listen to our future #Chris Hates Kids episode.
Because Chris does, in fact, hate kids.
I don't. Sometimes. But yeah, let's go ahead and get to ratings on this real quick. Or no, let's go to Kill of the Movie.
Kill of the Movie. So many like gory different kills. I'm gonna go with the ice skate because I feel like that's a nice callback to Halloween H2O.
Ice skate to the back of the head?
Yeah.
You know, out of all the gory ones and stuff like that, mine is the kill that we didn't even get to see really on screen, and that's the one with the drunk girl, just because of everything that led up to it and how horrible it was.
Yeah.
Just you know, she's already in the midst of a hangover.
Yeah. And
she passed out asleep. She wakes up to that feeling that is initially pleasurable until she wakes up and realizes what's actually happening, and the look on her face is just like you said. She did a lot with her face in that because we saw just regular, then slow to sensual pleasure, then confusion, then fright, then and then she gets off, and I just, you know, that's a horrible way to wake up.
Yeah, terrible way to be woken up.
So that's definitely mine. But
okay,
I mean, so weirdly, it was the one death I don't think we even saw because it like cut away.
Well, her and then the stuck-up girl that died in the car, we just saw a bunch of blood.
We saw blood, but we didn't even see blood with drunk girl.
No, they just go in the room and her eyes are gone.
And so, rating-wise, this is going to be tough for me if I'm going to try to go by my scale. Objectively, now, Rotten Tomatoes score 15. I say nay.
Is that what the Rotten Tomatoes
It's a 15% on the old tomato meter, but I get it. I totally understand why it's a 15% on Rotten Tomato. It's not.
Yeah.
Now the thing is, because this was,
and then a 38% audience score.
I think that if they tweaked it a little bit, they could have kept everything in this, and it would have been something like a Cabin in the Woods type movie, in which it's like the problem is this came out in 2006, where it knew if all of this was tongue in cheek and very like, all right, we know this is a remake slasher movie from the 70s and stuff like that, and there had to have been some kind of like girl power like message in there, because it was all about sororities, and you have frat dude and so many phallic imagery, or so much phallic symbols in it.
Okay, so I have 2 critic reviews here that I just love and I had to share.
All right, go ahead.
One guy says, Tobias says, it's just another witless trip to the slaughterhouse.
Fair.
Touché, sir. Yes,
that's
it
fair.
is. And then you got Trace Thurman, who says, editing, horrendous.
Mm-hmm.
The tone is all over the place.
Yep.
But the gore is over the top fun. It's a trashy mess.
Yeah.
Yet it's still dumb fun.
That's the best way to put it. It's trashy, dumb fun.
Yes. It is not a good film by any means.
Absolutely
God,
not.
it's so enjoyable.
But man, I had a lot of fun watching it.
Yes.
And this is the perfect movie to watch with a group of friends. Get 1 or 2 drinks in you. Everybody gather around, and just this movie is fun to just tear apart and to just laugh at. This is one of the funniest comedies of 2006.
Really?
Because I was laughing a good portion of the time. And it's even funnier because I know it's not meant to be taken as a comedy. Because in 2006, I'm sure they thought that this was going to be awesome.
Yeah.
And I think that if this came out now, just of how ridiculous it is, it probably would have gotten a better score, just because of how over the top the violence is and just how like tropey it is. I think people would watch it and be like,
"Oh, they're trying to make it like a Cabin in the Woods Christmas movie."
They're trying to. They know what they're doing. They're poking fun at these kinds of movies. But the fact that they were doing all this completely serious, thinking that this movie is not scary. No. It's more than funny than anything. But it thinks it's terrifying.
I mean, it has jump scares, if you want to say that,
and I think that they're also relying a little too much on the shock factor of, we're gonna have this mother molest her son, and we're gonna have him cannibalize her, and we're gonna have eaten eyeballs, and this girl who's woken up by the guy playing with her hoo-ha, but if you go into that and just go into it knowing it's going to be ridiculous, and
it's going to touch some uncomfortable things.
And if you go into it and you are like, it's exactly what you like. If you have a thought about what's going to happen in the movie, it's probably going to happen. Exactly.
It's predictable.
It's very predictable. If you're watching it and you're like, well, I mean, why would they say that for? I mean, one of the lines starts off with they have lines like burying the hatchet when in a slasher movie, which there's no reason to put that phrase in there.
Yeah, I love that. She's like, yeah, me and my estranged sister. No, I think they said, oh, Claire's supposed to bury the hatchet with her estranged sister. Another girl goes,
when they said that, I was
if I was met with my sister, I'd bury the hatchet in her head.
I was like, yes, bury the hatchet. Yes. I was cheering when I heard that. Yes, bury the hatchet. This is what I'm here for.
Like, I feel like the writer and directors and producers just had a checklist of all the slasher movie
They
tropes,
must have snuck into my house this came out in 2006 and saw my checklist.
Yeah, they're just going, check. Naked scene, check.
Naked scene, yep. Asshole boyfriend, yep. Got
check.
That.
Bad dialogue, check.
Over the top dialogue, right next to a person with very stilted dialogue, check.
Yeah.
Orderlies that are horrible at their job, and check. Just
hospital again, no one works at.
Get your bingo cards out.
Yeah.
I'm happy that, my vote for the poll would have been for Maniac, because I've seen the one with Elijah Wood, but I haven't seen the original, and I like the one with Elijah Wood. But I was happy that we got this one. This one was actually a treat.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if I've seen this movie before.
I saw it a long time ago when it first came out, and I was But I didn't know any of the actors or actresses back in 2006. I would have been like 14, 15, so I wasn't really paying attention to that. And then, but now I'm like, oh, that's Laurel from Arrow. That's Ramona from Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah, I still stand by the fact that Katie Cassidy should have been Nancy Thompson in the Nightmare on Elm Street remake.
Yeah. What are you going to do?
What are you going to do about it?
But, this is probably going to be the last episode of the year. I'm hoping to drop this on Christmas, but hopefully also by this time we'll have that contest that'll be getting wrapped up, and rewrites. I'm hoping that the rewrites, that people are digging that, because at the current time I'm editing our first rewrites. It's almost done.
Yeah, that should...
I'm actually having really fun listening to this, because I think the rewrites are going to be a really fun thing, because I'm having fun editing this stuff, and I like the back and forth. Your Adam Sandler one turned out a lot cooler than anything I was thinking of, and I'm just going back and listening to it, and I was like, you know what, I could see that.
I'd go watch that movie,
but
I have to rewatch Mist just to figure out that rewrite, because it's killing me. I can't figure out anything.
I haven't written one word of the Fear Street one yet. Either we're going to do the next rewrite next, or it's going to be hashtag Chris Hates Kids for a special episode of us talking about good and bad children's performances in movies and horror movies specifically. So that'll be a fun one.
So we got a lot of fun stuff coming up. Just different stuff we're throwing out before we start season 2. Yeah,
and season 2 starts up in January, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Do we know who our first guest is going to be?
Do you believe Alex Showers from the Scream podcast with Alex Showers should be the first? And
we're doing Scream, is that correct?
Yeah, the first 2 episodes will be about Scream, since the new one's coming out on the 14th.
So that'll be fun. I'm looking forward to going back and watching it. I've seen Scream maybe once or twice, but it's been a couple of years since I've watched the original, so I'll have fun watching that.
I've seen Scream over 1,000 goddamn times.
I've only seen the first one. I haven't seen anything other than the first one.
Really?
So this will all be new for me. So we'll
Scream
be in your
3. It will be a treat for you. You need to watch that now.
So we will be specifically in your wheelhouse in January.
Yeah, the first couple weeks. Yeah, that's going to be exciting.
And this upcoming season, we'll have a couple of new faces and a couple of familiar ones returning to the Bodybag podcast.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time.
And keep an eye out. We'll be trying to put in some multiple contests as well as special rewrites and just a lot of fun stuff coming up.
Yeah. So make sure, if you want to reach out, if you have any ideas on what you'd like to see us do, reach out to us on Bodybag Pod at Instagram and Bodybag Podcast on Twitter.
And from us here at the Bodybag Podcast, we hope that you guys have a good rest of the holiday season, and we look forward to seeing you guys in 2022.
Have a good year, everybody.